All right, everyone. Hello, hello. Sorry for the little bit of a delay there. Had a little trouble streaming, but getting that going. So I see people are coming on. We're going to give it a few more minutes, or maybe about 2 minutes. Let some more people get on and see a few friendly faces. All right. Some more people coming in. All righty. Streaming on YouTube this morning, or morning here in Colorado, afternoon or evening, wherever you may happen to be. And let's see, let's get the screen share going. In about 30 seconds, we'll get started. Let everybody come on a bit more. Okay, hope everybody's February is going okay. My name is Tad Stevens, and we're going to get started here in probably about, let me make sure the recording's going, about 10 seconds. So I'll be quiet for just a minute, and I'll be right back. All righty. Okay, we're going to get started. My name is Tad Stevens, and I am director here at cpethink.com. And this morning, we are going to talk about 10 steps to grow your company's revenue using LinkedIn. What we're going to cover is a systematic and proven strategy to generate a steady flow of leads and appointments, to remain top of mind throughout the sales cycle, and to convert more of those prospects into clients. There is a PDF of this presentation at that link, and I will get that link and some others and post them in the chat here for everyone. So we're going to say go to everyone here. And if you don't have the download of the PDF yet, you can grab it there. Or if you got it a couple of days ago, I've updated the slides a bit, you can do that. So let's get going. All right, who am I and why should you listen to me? As I mentioned, my name is Tad Stevens. I am the founder and the director at cpethink.com. We started developing in 2002. I've also been an IT consultant for Fortune 500 plus or minus firms over the years, about 2.5 decades. I have degrees in business from UTA and UTD, and that's University of Texas at Arlington and University of Texas at Dallas, if you're not familiar with those schools. I've been doing internet marketing since 2004 when we went live with cpethink.com. Also wrote a book, about 3 years ago, well, 4 years ago now, I guess, Internet Marketing for the Small Business Owner, a handbook and reference guide for the small or local business owner. And it was a Kindle bestseller for a while, mostly due to the internet marketing that I did. I've been on LinkedIn since 2007, and as of this morning, I have right around 9,500 niche-specific connections. 9,500 is not the most important part of that. It's the niche-specific that comes into play more for my marketing. I've been doing qualified lead gen on LinkedIn for about 3 years. And back in 2017, just relatively recently, I joined up with RevGrow to more or less enhance my LinkedIn marketing and my LinkedIn prospecting, because we see a lot of the same excuse me, we see a lot of things the same way. And RevGrow has a really powerful back end, really good organization. It's run by some really talented and skilled individuals who understand marketing, understand LinkedIn, and how to use it in business in a non-salesy, non-intrusive, beneficial way for both parties. So that's why I joined up with RevGrow, or we joined up here at CPE Think with RevGrow. Okay, housekeeping. We have a lot to cover. We're going to do it in an hour or less, so please pay attention. If you're watching the webinar version of this, which we are today, right now, there will be polling questions, but there will be no review or final exam questions. If you're watching a recording of this for self-study, there will be review and there will be final exam questions, but the polling questions that you see, you won't be able to answer, so please just ignore them, and sorry about that. To get your certificate of completion for the webinar, whether it's live or it is a replay, you need to take the one question final exam attesting that you were here. The text exam link for the webinar and icons will appear about 15 minutes after the webinar ends. That is live or replay. That is because we have to pull data down from Zoom to see who attended. So give it about 15 minutes after the live or the replay is over, and you'll see the take exam link and icons, and you can take the one question exam. To get your certificate of completion for the self-study course, which is if you take this on demand, you have to take the 5-question final exam that will be there and get a 70% or better to pass, and you will get your certificate of completion. A little bit more, there will be a replay. It will be listed in your inside the course on your My Courses page. Please do ask questions during the webinar as they come up. If I can't get to them when you ask, if I'm really trying to get through a slide or a group of slides, I will get to them at the end of the webinar, and I will stay on the webinar to answer all questions. So don't worry, we will get your questions answered. There will be 3 polling questions for the webinar today. They will not be graded, but we are required to ask them per the AICPA NASBA guidelines to determine attentiveness. Your certificate is not dependent upon your answers. As I said, they will not be graded or that you even answered them at all, but please do so. We will also be starting a lead generation group on LinkedIn in the next couple of weeks, I hope. We're going to call it Office Hours, and I think it's going to be every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, which would be 11 Central or noon Eastern. And that is mainly just to talk about marketing. It's a non-salesy. There's not going to be anything for offer or for purchase in there. It's just to share ideas, and each week there will be a theme, which myself or someone from our group will lead on marketing, and it will usually be on LinkedIn, but it can be on other things as well, but on marketing, lead generation, sales, conversion, value, benefit, all those kinds of things that go into expanding and growing your firm or your business. If you have any questions, please, you can hit us up at service@cpethink.com or the maroon chat bubble in the lower right of any page on our site. Okay, learning objectives. There's more than usual today, and we're going to get into them in great detail. So I'm going to go through them really quickly here. We're going to define and build your prospect profile. Or you're going to be able to define and build your prospect profile, which is going to be your ideal client, or what a lot of people call your avatar. You're going to be able to create your client-facing LinkedIn profile. This is going to define your personal brand, the brand you. Develop and create and implement a content strategy. This can be videos, articles, posts, most anything that you can put on LinkedIn or other platforms. We're going to show how to go about that and how to get that built. Then we're going to show you how to define and develop your leadership platform. And this is where you would use some of your content that you built in step number 3. It is also how you get your word and your brand out. So this could be anything from Toastmasters to speaking engagements for chambers of commerce, for business groups, lead generation groups, could be a blog, could be a podcast, video channel, all kinds of things. This is your platform that you're going to use to show yourself and your value to the world. We're going to show you how to use LinkedIn search tools. This is going to be, we're going to show you how to use the generic search tools and also the Sales Navigator search tools to find those prospects who fit your target criteria from the ones that you defined in step number 1. And we'll do my best to get to that. If we run a little short, we might have to cut that a bit short, but we are going to try to do that. And after you find all these prospects or these LinkedIn profiles on your search, you're going to need to build a database of qualified potential prospects. And I have qualified in quotes there because you don't want to just shotgun. You don't want to just take everyone, because a lot of people won't fit, and they may wonder, why are you connecting to me, or why are you inviting me to connect, or they may just want to chat or show pictures of their house cat or goldfish or whatever. Those are not the people that we want to go after. We want to go after the people that we can provide benefit and value to, and vice versa. We want both sides to win in this, so they need to be qualified potential prospects, and we're going to show you how to go about doing that. Set up and use your messaging machine. This is where the rubber meets the road for me. This is where you get out on LinkedIn with the people that you've connected to and show them that you have value to provide. Show them that it's worth connecting to you, and how you're going to engage them and bring value to them, so that they will look to you as the expert and to fulfill their needs when they have a need for your product or services. Then we're going to run over creating and using an activity management system, customer resource management system, or CRM, show how to prepare in advance for appointments, and then to continue nurturing your leads after you've messaged them, and say, if you don't get something going with them, how to stay in front of them, keep you top of mind, and to keep showing them that you're there and that you have value to share. Okay, this course, you will learn what I have found to be the most effective way to use LinkedIn to generate warm phone calls or meetings with prospects that already know, like, and trust you. And that is important, and we'll get into more of that here shortly. This is a non-intrusive, non-salesy approach that puts you in a position of authority, trust, and respect to have business conversations with your potential clients, and not pitch fests or hard sales, cold calls and meetings. You will learn what some consultants are charging $1,000 to $4,000 one time, or even per month. I have seen that out there to teach this to. This is not a push button process. It involves work, discipline, consistency, and most of all, persistence. I and others have used it successfully for years now, and so can you. So, quick analogy here. And many of you have probably heard this. It's been on LinkedIn. It's been around for a while. But how much is a hammer worth? There was this ship engine, big diesel engine, size of a couple of houses. It stops. The ship company is concerned, so they call the repairman. He comes out, or repairwoman. I just say guy, just because I'm from Texas. Guy walks in, looks around, pulls out a small hammer, looks at it, taps on a spot on the machine, and the engine comes to life. Leaves a one-line invoice for $10,000. Management sees this invoice, freaks out, demands a detailed line-by-line invoice. Guy comes back with a two-line invoice. Line 1 is a small hammer for $2. Line 2 is knowing how to use it, $9,998. What I'm going to show you today is that LinkedIn is the hammer. It is important. You have to have it. But how to use it is even more important, and that's what we're going to learn here. So, FTC disclaimer, we are going to talk about income, revenue generation, and things like that. So I'm going to walk you through the systems that I am using, how I go about it. It could, and it is very possible that you could lose time or money or both doing this if you do it. Please understand that my results are not typical. Most people who attend any training on generating business or revenues get zero results, usually because they don't follow through. What this is going to be is a different way to approach prospecting on LinkedIn. Following this approach, however, though, maximizes your chances of getting qualified leads in the form of phone calls, but in no way guarantees those leads, phone calls, or any income or revenue from that. Okay, so that's out of the way. Quick refresh of what LinkedIn is. Everybody knows it's big. It's the world's largest professional network. It was founded in December 2002 and launched shortly after that in 2003. Professionals are currently signing up to LinkedIn at a rate of more than 2 new members a second. These numbers are a little bit dated, but LinkedIn changed its about page. Last numbers I pulled off of there was fourth quarter 2015 total revenues were up 34% for 862 million. There are almost 500 million people on LinkedIn members worldwide. That was as of close to the end of 2016. Almost a third of those are in the USA, or about 30%, 28.5 back then. And you can get some numbers and some more information at press.linkedin.com/about. But more importantly is, why is LinkedIn important to you? First off, it allows you to be found. And it also allows you to find others, which I'm going to say are qualified leads. How is this training going to be different? Because I'm sure you've probably seen training on LinkedIn, about LinkedIn, around. This training to me is more holistic. It's multidimensional. It's not just messaging or setting up your profile or going and viewing other people's profiles. It's much more to that. We'll get into the detail here. It focuses more on the prospect psychology than on the technology or methods that you use or you yourself. So you're focusing more on your prospect and what they are going through, the scripts or the messages or the conversations that are playing in their head, what they're looking for, their needs, wants, pain points, things like that. The results work. They do. I've been using them, as I said, for quite a while. And I do believe that they work more than most other methods. It will also, and this is the big one to me, it will allow you to set up phone or in-person meetings with prospects in your target audience, that already know, like, and trust you more than any other form of prospecting, except possibly referrals. And I do mean that. I have been doing lead generation on and off, more recently on, for the last 3 years. And I have tried, I can't count how many different methods of lead generation. I don't do hardly any anymore for myself, for our company, other than LinkedIn. It is that powerful. It is that good. It works. In short, it allows you to get warm sales calls with qualified prospects with relatively little effort. And just, I threw this in here recently this morning. If your practice or your business is not growing, it's shrinking. So that is why you need to be doing something. If you're not using LinkedIn, you need to be doing something. But if you're looking for B2B, regional or national, LinkedIn is excellent. Okay, what we're going to be covering, this is basically a short version of the learning objectives. So I'm not going to go through that again. We're going to get moving here. Let's jump right in. Number 1, determine your prospect profile, your avatar. Understand who your ideal customers are, who they are, what do they need, what is their pain point, what is their wants, needs, fears. And I know that may sound a little softer, a little soft, but you need to know who those people are, because that's how you're going to approach them, and that's who you're going to how you're going to look for who you're going to look for, I guess, is a better way to put it. You're going to look at decision maker titles. You want decision makers here: CEO, CFO, founder, owner, co-founder. You want to also look at, do you want firms between 10 and 50 employees, or between 50 and 200 employees? Or do you want to go for solopreneurs, 1 to 10 employees, or self-employed? Do you want specific industries? I like to focus on 4 or 5 specific industries, no more. Don't want to get too scattered. Geography. Do you want to look at specific countries, states, metro areas, and even cities within those metro areas? I usually prospect at no larger than a state at a time. A lot of times, especially if it's a big state like California, then cities. If it's a medium-sized state like Colorado, I would go for a metro area like the Denver metro area. If it's a really small state like Wyoming, I may do 3 states at a time: Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana, for instance. You can also look at your prospects by maybe other types of terms that aren't in the decision maker title search field, like CPA. And you can do combination searches. So you can say here, where I have an example, you can say, I want to look for somebody that has CPA in their profile and also has owner or partner or CEO or founder. So what that translates to is, I want to look for CPAs that are also owners, or CPAs that also have partner in their profile, or CPAs that also have CEO or founder in their profile. The more niched your audience is, the better. So if I could search for, say, CPA males in blue suits that like cheeseburgers on Tuesday, Well, that may seem a little ridiculous, but if I'm selling cheeseburgers on Tuesday, those are the people that I want to find. And so that's the way I want to do my search. Okay, the second one, you want to position your personal brand by creating a client-facing profile. And this is client-facing. You're building this for your clients, not necessarily for you. And a little more here. Too many LinkedIn users, for me anyway, make their profiles about themselves. And I know people say your profile is your resume. Well, hang on just a second. It should be more about the benefits they offer and the problems that they can solve for their prospects, meaning the problems you can solve for your prospects. These people that put their resume out there, that's great if they're looking for a job, but if it's like us and we're looking for leads, then we need to talk more about the benefits that we can offer and the problems we can solve for our prospects. Your LinkedIn profile is much more than a resume, of course, unless you're looking for a job, but that's not us. Our goal is to help people like the reader of the profile overcome problems and achieve their specific goals, not show them how great our blue widgets are today. You want to speak directly to those in your prospect persona. And you always, always, always leave a call to action of some kind. Connect with me, send me a message, check out my blog or my group. Here's my newsletter, please subscribe. Here's a link to chat with me. Here's my phone number. Call me now. Send me an email, something, but get them to do something to get closer to you. Doesn't have to necessarily be to call you up, but do go look at my latest post. Give a call to action in your profile, if not once, more than once. Okay, you need to develop a content strategy. This is part of the multidimensional part of this this method as opposed to some others. This content strategy is to educate, to add value to your brand, which can be you or your firm, and to build relationships. You want the content to be relevant, informative, maintain high standards and quality. It's got to be better than third grade English. It's got to be more than just a newspaper. It needs to read well, but it needs to be of high quality so that it doesn't look like you just threw something out there all the time. Sometimes you want to do that, but you want it to be relative, informative, and maintain a high quality. You want to define your objective and share valuable free content as it fits that objective. So when you're putting content out there, you want it to be around what your objective is. You don't want to just share the latest Wall Street Journal movements unless that has something to do with your product or service. All the content that you put out there needs to relate back to what it is that you're offering and the problems that you are solving. You can offer a mix of original and curated content. You don't have to write it all yourself. You can go use others' articles. There's tons and tons out there. Content can be put out on LinkedIn posts. It can be put out as ebooks, checklists, tip sheets, videos, and guides. Video is coming up a lot more on LinkedIn lately. I'm seeing a ton. I mean, several posts a day compared to what it was just six months ago. You do this to remain top of mind by positioning yourself as an authority in your field. This is the glue and the social proof to stick your prospects to you and to show that you are looked upon for solutions. Okay, your leadership platform, how to develop that. You do this to position yourself as a thought leader for others to know, like, trust, and value you and what you're offering, what you are there for. One way is to join a LinkedIn group, or you can develop your own. Another way to improve visibility and engagement is to publish articles, put videos out there. Podcasts I mentioned earlier. You can do webinars like this. You can do public speaking like Toastmasters, business groups, BNI groups, anything to get out there and to establish that you are an expert. And this is more glue and social proof. Okay, now we're going to get into some of the actual technical work aspects. We're doing okay on time, but I may have to speed up here just a little bit, so stick with me. Use LinkedIn, or how to use LinkedIn search tools to find prospects. The 4 pictures down there, I have a top row and a bottom row. Which CEO do you want to connect to? They're all 4 CEOs, but which ones are the ones that you want to connect to you in your profile and that you want to message? We'll get into that and how you tell that in just a sec. You can do a basic search, which comes with the free or the business version, that is in LinkedIn itself. Or you can use Sales Navigator, which I prefer, and you can search on a lot more in-depth metrics. You can get a lot more profiles returned. For example, decision maker titles. I did a search this morning where I searched on these: CEO, founder, owner, co-founder. Didn't do CFO this morning, but I searched on firm headcount. We can't do revenue, but this is better than nothing. It's pretty good. I did a search on 10 to 50 headcount with CEO, founder, owner, and co-founder. Industries I searched with was IT services. Geographic regions, I searched for the state of Washington. I didn't do a complex keyword search. In the basic search, I got 7 returns. In the Sales Navigator search, I got 146 returned. So there is a benefit to Sales Navigator. I believe it costs about 70 or 80 bucks a month. If you are going to prospect on LinkedIn, I suggest it is worth it. Just the search capabilities or feature is worth it by itself. You can also look in LinkedIn groups. Last time I looked that up about a week ago, it was changing how you could search, how you could message, and things like that. So I didn't include it here, but that is definitely something to keep in mind. Groups can be very powerful, especially when they are groups of like-minded individuals in your niche. Whichever method you use, once you pull up the results of the search, you will have a list of profiles there. Make sure you go look at the profile. Again, if you search just for CEO, say in Washington, and these 4 guys are in Washington and they're in the same industry, and they're in the same size firm, you're going to get all 4 of these come up in the search. If you just go, invite all 4 of them, do you really want to invite those top 2 guys? They may be great guys. I mean, they may be just a ton of fun. They may be smart as a whip. But then again, I want the 2 guys on the bottom. So always look at the profile. Build your database. Okay, you've done your search. You have a targeted list from number 5. You have that targeted list based on your prospect's profile from number 1. You have a client-facing LinkedIn profile that you've optimized and put out there from number 2. You have a content strategy, what you're going to publish, what is the content going to be about, what is the theme from number 3. And you have your leadership platform, where you're going to put that content out, where you're going to get your message out to the world from number 4. So now you need to give prospects a reason to connect with you. And this is key. I usually take one of two approaches, and I usually go back and forth. First one I do is send personalized invitations, acting to connect, providing value to the people that I'm inviting. So something like, "Hi, Bob. When I checked your profile, I noticed we both provide service to the management space. Wanted to say hello. Let's connect." End. That's it. I mean, real short, real to the point. The idea here is that Bob may see value in connecting with me because we have the same type of people in our niche. So we may be able to share prospecting advice, to share tips and tricks, to anything. There's a value for Bob to connect to me because our customer base or our niche is the same. The other way I do it is by demonstrating trust. So I send personalized invitations asking to connect, demonstrating trust. And I do this something like, "Hi, Sue. When I checked your profile, I noticed we share some management connections. Wanted to say hello and let's connect." And the idea here is that Sue trusts Bob because Bob is a connection of Sue's, and Bob trusts Tad's or trusts me because I'm a connection of Bob's. So therefore, because Bob trusts both of us, Sue can trust me. So it's a little bit of trust. It may not seem like a lot, but I have noticed that when I am connecting with a second or inviting a second connection, and I say, "Hey, we share some connections, thought you might want to connect," I will get responses back. "Oh, well, do you know somebody?" And I'll respond back, "Well, not personally, but I've connected to them on LinkedIn." And that's how I know them, and we've corresponded that way. And they'll come back and go, "Oh, okay, great. Now I've got a conversation going. I hadn't even gotten past the connection request, and they're already talking to me on LinkedIn." That's why this worked, or that's one of the ways as to why this works so well. During these connection requests, you want to keep them short. I like to keep mine usually under 100 characters. And I mean really short, nothing longer than what I've got up here. Maybe a little bit, but not much. But you never, ever, ever pitch or offer anything in these invitations. That's really strange, and their sales radar will go off. And they won't connect with you. What's even worse is they may send a do not know response to your invitation. Too many of those will get your LinkedIn account frozen. So don't do that. Use one of these two or a similar type method that I've outlined here. All right, here we go. Setting up your message machine. This is where most of my replies, responses, engagements off of LinkedIn come from. So let's get in it. As soon as they sniff out you're selling something, you'll lose them. They'll be gone. They'll just disappear. They may complain. So you're not selling here. And I'll emphasize this even more later. You want to establish a reliable system for staying in front of your prospects. You want to build rapport. You want to demonstrate expertise. Be personal. Definitely use their first name. Do not use the default messaging, especially in the connection request in step 6 or in number 6 before that LinkedIn provides. Never, ever, ever use their default, because everybody else uses their default and people become blind to it and they don't see it. Always use their first name when you're talking to them. In every connection, invitation, in every thank you message, in every message that I'll show you here in just a little bit, I always use their first name. And I definitely try to use something about them as well. Where they work, what they just did, like did they get a new promotion? Did they get a new job? Is it their birthday? Did they just make a post? Did they just come back from vacation? Something. Try to personalize it as much as you can. You want to be professional, respectful, and friendly. I mean, LinkedIn is personal. It's not Facebook, but it is still personal. You're still connecting to another individual. You're not connecting to a business. You're connecting to a person. So don't come off sounding like you're talking to a business. That sounds salesy. Don't be flippant, arrogant, or rude. Do be polite. As I said, be respectful and be positive. Don't use jokes that are negative or put others down. Be positive on LinkedIn in your messaging, or just don't. And you can say, oh, well, if I take a position on this or that, one side or the other, it will get people that are more passionate. Yeah, it will, but it will also put off people that are not in agreement with you. And LinkedIn for me is about business. It's not about winning an argument. There's an old saying in marketing, you can be either right or you can be rich. I'm choosing the latter. I'm not looking to prove my points here. I'm looking to build business relationships with people, provide value to them, or exchange value between us where we both benefit. And then lastly here, you want to allow 1 to 3 weeks between messages. You don't want to spam people. You don't want to just hit them real quickly with a bunch of messages, because that looks weird as well. And most people will not like that. Okay, part 2 on the messaging. This is an example message sequence that you can use. The first 5 sequences, or the first 5 pieces, I suggest you definitely use these, and you can vary this a little bit, and I'll show you how in just a sec. You want to send out the invitation connect. You can get results just off this. It does happen. I have actually gotten clients off just my connection request, and the reason I got them, I believe, from what I've heard back from the clients, is that they got my invitation, they went and looked at my profile, and it just happened to be solving a problem that they were having at the time. Like I said, it doesn't happen a lot. It is kind of rare, but it does happen if you're out there enough, and if your offer is good enough, and if it is targeted to the list that you built and you are persistent about it. It may take a while, but it can happen. Then after you send the invitation, within 24 hours, usually, I send a thank you for connecting. And it's just something like, hi, Bob, thanks for connecting thanks for connecting. Let me know anything I can help with. Tap, and that's it. Don't sell anything. I don't offer anything. I just offer something of value to build trust. Let me know anything I can help with. Well, I have had replies back. Well, Tad, what do you think you can help me with? And I'll reply back to them, and I'll start a conversation. Well, they were maybe a little bit irritated by my second or by my thank you message, but it got a conversation going. And there are times when we found out we weren't a match right then. There are other times when that conversation has kept going, and we've had conversations about potential offers between us. So always a thank you message, or at least I do, within 24 hours of connecting. This builds trust. Then within 1 to 3 weeks, this is where the 1 to 3 weeks comes in, you want to send your first message, what I'm calling M1 here. And this is something of value to, again, to build trust. You want to send them an invitation to join your LinkedIn group or another LinkedIn group that you're a member of. Invite to view an article, a post you did, a video you just made, join a discussion in a group, something that benefits them. Whether you think it's really cool or whiz bang, I mean, that's good, but you're looking for something that provides value to them. Something you think based on your review of their profile that provides value, solves a problem they have, relieves a pain that they have, something that you think they may be going through based on what you've seen, to build trust. Show value, build trust. Okay, you can send a second message, an M2, that basically does the same thing, maybe a little bit closer to a call to action. Or I usually like to go into a call to action on my second message. Can be as straight up as a phone call. Hey, Bob, I really appreciate you connecting a couple weeks ago. Would like to learn a little more about your business. If you're open to it, please give me a call at this number. Or what I tend to do, I usually don't ask them to call, is I usually give them a link to schedule a time to call me, or ask for a phone number. Would you be okay with letting me give you a call? Something, but do a call to action to get them off LinkedIn. You don't want to do any of your pitching or any of your offers on LinkedIn. The only sale that you're making on LinkedIn is to get them off of LinkedIn. I'd love to hear more about your business and see if there's something we can do together. Would love to hear more about your business and see if there's something that we have in common that we both might benefit from. Be soft, be considerate, be respectful, but do ask them to get off LinkedIn with you. And if they don't take you up on that, then you follow up with a third message, or M3 here. You can follow up with another trust, another value piece. Again, with, hey, Bob, sorry, wasn't able to connect with you a couple weeks ago. Here's a really nice article on some of the new statutes that have come out relating to value or property valuations or something. It depends on what you're going for, but something related to them. And then, would love to hear more about what you're doing. Let me know if we can have a quick call. Please just reply back if that's okay. And a lot of times, just asking them for a reply back can be the best call to action or the best request, because it keeps it in the message and keeps it on LinkedIn, so they feel comfortable, they feel safe. They don't have to call you, they don't have to email you, they definitely don't have to give you their phone number, but they can just message you. They've been messaging you, they accepted your invitation. So a lot of times, just ask for them to reply back on LinkedIn. That can be one of the easiest things for them to do. And then if you don't have anything back from M3 or M4, do get them in a long-term follow-up. I suggest you message them at least once every couple of months to keep you in front of them, to keep them warm, to let them know you're there, provide value, another article post that they can go look at, a group they can join, something like that. All of my messages, the M1, M2, M3, M4, are 100 words or less. Here, less is more. I know a lot of people out there, they have these messages that are so long, you have to scroll for 2 or 3 pages. I think those are far less effective than a quick, short, personal message. Talk to them like you would be talking to a friend at a bus stop. Their bus just got there and they're getting up to walk on the bus, and you say, oh, hey, make sure you give me a call next week about the widget we were talking about. Love to talk to you. I mean, something that simple, that short, works better for me than anything over 100 words. And again, this is just a guide. Fit it to you, fit it to what works for you in your voice that fits your niche. Okay, lastly, for messaging, do not sell on LinkedIn other than the call to action, period. LinkedIn is for connecting, engaging, and building the know, trust, like value chain. Take them off LinkedIn always to present your offer. The only sale on LinkedIn is getting the phone call or the meeting, and it must be personal. Do not sell on LinkedIn other than the call to action, period. I know I said it again, and I said it again because it's important. Remember, LinkedIn is the hammer. These steps on how to use it are these steps are the how to use it. These are more important than the actual hammer, but you do need the hammer. Okay. Develop an activity management system. I'm going to speed it up here just a bit. CRMs, customer resource management systems. I use Pipedrive for CRM. It's something I've used for several years. It is expandable to multiple agents. It has a great mobile app, and it is relatively inexpensive and easy to learn. The easy to learn part is, if you haven't used a CRM before, to me is very important, because if it's hard to learn, chances are you won't ever use it. So Pipedrive is something relatively easy. You can get into it for, I think it's about $9 a month. So it's great if you haven't used one, but it is also large enough for enterprise teams. So highly suggest that if you're shopping around. You can even use a spreadsheet. I mean, it's better than nothing. Use something to track your conversations that you've had with people. Because I can't tell you, when I first started out, how frustrating it was to get a conversation going, have them say, "Oh, call me in a month because I'm going out of the country," and they really do. People leave like that, and I forgot. And 6 months later, I found the note that I made, because it wasn't in something that was easy to maintain for me, and I thought, and this was a hot lead. This was somebody that was actually interested in my product or service, and I just lost them because I wasn't tracking them. I don't make that mistake anymore. I keep up with my prospecting, with my leads, with my conversations. Every time I have a conversation or a touch point with somebody, I note it in Pipedrive. Autoresponders are great for long-term follow-up. If after your messaging sequence, they're not interested or they're not replying, and they have made some indication, they have said, yes, you can email me in one way or another, get them in an autoresponder, something like Active Campaign. But again, as I said here, they have to have opted in, and set a email sequence that messages or emails them once a month. That way you don't have to do it on LinkedIn, like I mentioned earlier, staying in front of them. You can have the software do it for you. And then cold email is another way that you can connect with people. I mentioned that here just because it's getting a lot more press lately. It is a whole nother course for this. I suggest you do not engage in cold email until you get much more comfortable with prospecting using several different methods and channels. It does satisfy the CAN Spam Act, but you can get in trouble with your email sending provider, and people may not like it if you don't do it in a certain way, respectfully, such that it can blow up in your face. So don't use cold email until you get a lot farther along and you understand what you're doing. It is a completely another topic. Prepare for your appointments, and this is important. Know who you're talking to, what's going on with them before you call them. Pre-meeting research focused on determining your positioning. What is their market? Who are their competitors? You want to control the conversation in these appointments, but my belief is you want to let them do most of the talking. So have your questions ready. Use questions in a way, to do the point right before, to control the conversation, but listen to their responses. Give them feedback based on their responses, so they know you're listening, they know you're engaged, they know you care, and that is important. What are their pain points? Look at their industry, look at any news on their firm that has come out, and get to, with your questioning, what do they want to happen? What do they really want? And remember, you're talking to a total stranger here. They are interested in you. They are absolutely interested in you and what you have to offer or what you do, or they wouldn't be on the call in the first place. This is not a cold call. This is definitely a warm call, because you've already engaged them on LinkedIn and they've taken time out of their day to talk to you. So they are interested. My goal when I do this is to frame the conversation so that they sell themselves on what I'm offering. I'm just helping them out. And I do that by questioning, framing the conversation using questions around my offer if it solves their problem. And sometimes I find out that it doesn't solve their problem, that we're not a fit. And that's okay too, because now I've qualified that person, and we know that, okay, we didn't fit this time, but I keep them in my nurturing sequence because there may be something we can do down the road. But now I know, and I don't have to keep following them. Okay, lastly, be relaxed, be ready. It's just a conversation. You're just talking to somebody. Okay, continue to nurture your leads. tailor your approach. It's not a one size fits all, but there are some definite steps that you can take. You're doing this to build long-term relationships. Like I said, they may not be interested. They may not be ready to buy right now, but they may 6 months or even a year from now. You want to do this to stay on top of mind so that when they are ready to buy, that you're already there. They already know you, like you, and trust you. Some quick stats here I like from this website is that 80% of sales require 5 follow-up calls. And that can be calls, it can be emails, it can be LinkedIn messages after the initial meeting. But only 44% of sales reps do anything, 44% give up after the first follow-up. So that means 56% only follow up more than one time. So follow-up is important. I can't tell you how many times I have followed up and actually gotten an agreement just because I followed up. I've had people tell me that they decided to do business with me just because they liked my respectful, thoughtful follow-up campaign. It's happened more than once. After a presentation, 63% of attendees remember the stories that you tell. Only 5% remember statistics. What that means to me is talk to them. Talk to them as another individual, another business person. You're both business people. You're both trying to make a go of it. So talk to them in that frame. 78% of salespeople using social media outsell their peers. That's one of the reasons I like LinkedIn. It is social media for business, and it is excellent. You want to vary your touch points with your connections. You can do things like invite them to an industry event or a webinar, something that relates to what you're talking about. You can ask them for their professional opinion. You can boost their online brands with what some people call social currency. So likes, shares, endorsements, recommendations, comments, things like that. You can introduce them to other industry professionals. And this can be like if you figure out that, after talking to them that, your blue widget won't solve their problem, but Sue over here who has a green widget and it will. So you introduce Bob to Sue, and now Sue's happy because she's gotten a great lead. Bob's happy because he's gotten a solution to his problem. Now Bob is ripe for asking for a referral, and so is Sue. So work on expanding your network, not just making the sale, especially if the sale doesn't fit. You can invite them to breakfast. I prefer breakfast, lunch, or happy hour. You can do that. I like to get these things or those things done first thing in the day. You can send donuts, candy, gifts, cards, and this may sound kind of silly, but donuts are excellent. I cannot tell you how walking into somebody's office and giving the person at the front desk half a dozen donuts, how much that does for your credibility. You didn't come in ask for a sale. You didn't come in showing your blue widget or your green widget. You came in and you offered them something sweet, and it's food. It sounds goofy, and I know it may not sound like it's professional, but it works. It works because you're talking to another human being at a personal level, and you're giving them food. Okay, that was a bunch. We've got about 3 minutes before we hit the 50-minute mark for the credit. So real quickly, what we covered, we determined who our prospect profile or who our prospect is. What is their profile? What is their avatar? We positioned our personal brand by creating a client-facing profile that is based on our prospects, not necessarily on us. And this is when we're doing lead generation. If we're looking for a job, then it would be a resume, but that's not what we're doing. We're developing a content strategy. We're building videos. We're building blog posts. We're finding other blog posts or articles that we can curate. And curate means we're just going to post a link to those with a little comment from ourselves. We're developing our leadership platform. Are we going to speak at Toastmasters and BNI? Are we going to go to the chamber and do stand-ups for the chamber, provide business development for other people in the chamber? We also showed how to use LinkedIn search tools to find prospects. And I talked a little bit about the difference between just the base LinkedIn search, which using the same criteria, basically in the basic LinkedIn search, I found 7 profiles. And in the Sales Navigator, I found 146. And the target criteria was the same. So Sales Navigator has value. How to build our database based on that search that we did. How to make sure that we're looking at the right CEOs. We want the ones that we want, not just the ones that pop up. So look at their profile. And we want to set up and work our messaging machine. That goes with the initial invite, a thank you message within 24 hours, the first message 1 to 3 weeks later, second message again 1 to 3 weeks later, third message 1 to 3 weeks later. Call to action in messages 2 and 3, but provide value in all of them whenever possible. You want to develop an activity management system. Again, that's the one where I was talking about. I use Pipedrive as my CRM. Can use a spreadsheet if you want to, but if you're going to really get into this, spend $9 a month on yourself and get yourself a decent CRM. There's more than just Pipedrive out there for about that price too. Prepare for your appointments. Do some research on your prospect before you get on the call with them. Try to find out what their issues are, what they're going through, what they're looking for if you can. And then continue to nurture your leads, after your messaging sequence on LinkedIn. Stay top of mind, stay in front of them, let them know that you are there. Okay, the bare minimum. I get it. You don't have time to do all 10 of those steps. You don't have time to develop a content strategy, to go out and build a CRM or learn how to use a CRM. You can do this with just a few of the steps. Excuse me, just a second. Sorry about that. Quick sip of water. Okay. The minimum for me is, first of all, you still have to determine who your list is. Who are your prospects? What is their profile? What do they look like? What do they need? You still, and this is critical, build your profile on LinkedIn. If you do all that, a lot of people will come to look at your profile after you invite, even after you've messaged them the third time, they'll still go back and look at your profile to see what you're about. If you don't have an optimized, professional looking profile with a professional photo, title, summary, experience, recommendations, comments, all those things, if you don't have that, then you won't look for real. And I can't tell you how many business conversations I have had initiated because of how my profile was written, because I had a decent picture, because I had a tagline that talked to them, that talked to the problem that they were having. So number 2 is critical. Use LinkedIn search tools to find prospects. You got to find prospects, so you got to have some way to get a list. Build your database. Connect with these people that are on your list that have satisfied the criteria that you've determined from number 1, and then message them consistently. Be persistent. Always be respectful. Always be thoughtful. Always be personal, but always follow up. Continue to message them and follow up. Remember, almost half of salespeople never follow up after the first contact, and more than 2/3 of sales are made after the first contact. So message, follow up, but do be respectful. If somebody tells you to stop, just stop. There's plenty of people out there, and as long as you keep your pipeline full, that doesn't matter. That's going to happen. Okay, you can do this. You can spend 30 minutes a day, but you need to do it every day without fail, because as I just mentioned, you need to keep your pipeline full. Invite 5 people every day. Message those that connect. If your profile and your targeting are right, that'll be about half. So that should give you about 55 new connections a month, 22 work days times 5 times 50%. 5% of those you should get a sales call from. So about 3, really 2.75, but almost 3. If you can close 1 in 3, and if you've targeted correctly, and if you've messaged them warmly and professionally and thoughtfully, 30% closing rate is not out of the ballpark. It is totally possible. You should get 1 new client every month if you run it consistently. Now, some months you may not get any. You may go 2 months without not getting some, but other months you may get 2. It is consistency, it is persistence, and it is keeping your pipeline full every day. So if your rate, and I'm just using this to make the numbers easy, is $100 an hour, that's about $1,100 for a new client. Is that worth it to you? What is the lifetime value of that client? If most clients stay for 5 years and they're a business client, and say preparing their file for them for tax season is $2,500, well, that's 5 times $2,500 is $1,100 worth acquiring that client. Again, FTC disclaimer, because we're talking about revenue generation in business. Can't guarantee that will work. It may not work for you at all, but I hope you can see how it does work, how it can work if you just do it. Okay, that is the CPE portion of this webinar. I do thank everyone for attending. If anyone has any questions, again, our email is in the chat box, and the link to the PDF is there as well as you can go to our website, and the maroon chat bubble is on the lower right. You can also call us most anytime. We're usually here from about 6 to 6 Mountain Time, which translates to about 8 to 8 Eastern Time. Yeah, it's 888-273-0273. Again, the email is services@cpethink.com. You can schedule a call with me on my calendar at scheduleacallwithtad.com. And it's a Calendly link. You just pick the time and day, and we can get on a chat then. So, any questions? Take a break here from talking. If anybody has any questions, now is the time to do it. Let me check right here. Okay. All right. What do I say? What do you say? Oh, what do I say in my messaging? If I'm a CPA. If you're a CPA, what you would be looking for, and again, this depends on how you target your niche. For example, say you wanted to target, worked with CPAs that have targeted HVAC companies, heating and air conditioning companies. So you would target other business owners in HVAC companies, and what in their industry that has been your experience that is a pain point for them. If I remember correctly, some of the regulatory filing requirements that they have to go through because of the substances that they use and the way that they have to go about what they do, there are compliance reports that they have to follow. So, you could give some advice in your messaging on, creating and filing that compliance report. This is how you do it. Here's an article on putting your compliance report together. Oh, by the way, if you need any help, please feel free to give me a call. I have a 30-minute free consultation and be happy to walk through that with you. When you find somebody that needs that help, you've just provided value to them and you've given them an out or a solution to their pain. And so very likely you could get a few calls that way. Okay. Anybody else? Well, I hope I was thorough, and that did answer everybody's questions. We're approaching the top of the hour. Do want to be respectful of everyone's time. And this is the end of the CPE portion. However, I would like to show you what we do with RevGrow and how we do this for other people. So if you're willing to hang around for about 5 minutes, I will show you how we do this for other people and how we can do it for you. If you are getting off, give the, about 15 minutes from now, you will see the Take Exam link for your final exam. So it will be there. Just give it about 15 minutes. All right. Oh, Michael, where are the questions that we need to answer for our CPE? Man, I went through that and I totally forgot to present them. You don't need those questions for CPE. The only thing you need to do is show attendance. And because our software is integrated with Zoom, our website is integrated with Zoom, we have that. So as long as you were here, we have proof digitally that you were here and that you were attentive. So don't worry about it. I do apologize, though. We're supposed to ask those and I just missed it. So I got that one. Anybody else on the polling questions? Again, sorry about that. Okay, the 10 things that we went over during the webinar, we can do for you. And RevGrow can do an outstanding job with this. The content strategy and the leadership platform piece that they do is some of the best that I have seen. It is extremely professional, extremely broad in nature, and there is quite a lot of it, which we will get here in just a second. First off, I want to go through a case study, something that RevGrow did for a gentleman named Fred, who hired them or us in 2017 to run a full LinkedIn marketing and lead generation campaign to build out his online presence. He also wanted to develop top-of-mind awareness, engage his network, and initiate sales conversations with decision makers in his target market. And again, he's a fractional CFO. I don't know if you're familiar with that industry or that niche, but it can be a tough niche to acquire clients with. In 3 months, we were able to grow Fred's network by more than 300 decision makers. And these are people that are like C-level, C-suite type individuals in their particular company, in his target demographic where he wanted them to be, generated 40 leads total with those decision makers who actually wanted to talk and meet with Fred, either on the phone or in person. And Fred landed 2 new clients in that time. Which has the potential to lead to even bigger opportunities with them and with some of their referrals. What Fred said was, in abbreviated form, was the RevGrow model works. It's accelerating my network and building a pyramid of opportunity. It's bringing me more revenue into my business than we otherwise would have had. Another case study is an IT search and staffing firm owned by a gentleman named Rob. He's an IT professional in Dallas, Texas, and he understands that to grow his firm, he has to get in front of more decision makers looking to build out their IT teams, because that's how he helps them, is to provide people. Rob hired RevGrow to run a LinkedIn campaign with the goal of establishing his firm as a leader in his industry, building community through his network to produce leads. His first level connections grew by 300 plus C-level executives in Rob's target market. He had an average of 12 leads every month that resulted in phone meetings with those decision makers. He closed 2 100K plus search contracts, which he got a fee of $25,000 or more. Views on his shared content increased an average of 400 views, up to an average of 1,800 views per post. His LinkedIn group grew to 280 carefully curated members, meaning people, again, in his target market. He held 2 networking events for these members. 38 attended the first meeting and 30 attended the second. And this is a great thing in that you can take a great example of taking people off LinkedIn and getting your C-level decision makers in a room with you to present more of what you do and the way that you can help them just from messaging on LinkedIn. Several LinkedIn prospects are in the pipeline and that Rob expects to become clients in the coming months. What Rob said was really quite impressed with the RevGrow team. They seemingly act as an extension of my team by helping me to reach new prospects and allowing me to focus on delivery and less on marketing and business development. Okay, how RevGrow goes about this. This is how, real quickly, how they do it. Or how, and I say they because in my capacity, I don't actually do the work. There is a team of highly dedicated, skilled people that do this day in, day out for the people that I bring into the funnel. Our job here at CPE Think is to bring individuals into the RevGrow universe to see what we can do, how they can increase their lead generation and increase their business. And then it's handed off to people that they have a dedicated account manager, which I'll show you in just a second. But the sales director in this instance would be me or somebody from my group, stays with that client along with the account manager, and they have personalized calls 2 to 4 times every month to continue to go over that strategy. The way it starts out, though, is they have a strategy session kickoff to identify their target prospects, key differentiators, and market strategy on how they're going to proceed. Profile optimization designed to convert their profile views into new connections. And this is what I was talking about with target prospects. This is how I got some business just off my profile, because the profile is done so well. Identify and join groups, critical for database building and ongoing prospecting. Develop targeted advanced searches to identify prospects to connect with on LinkedIn, the 2 CEOs on the bottom, not the 2 on the top. Database build of 250 qualified prospects you can leverage for years to come. And this is just in the first 3 to 4 weeks. It continues after that, and it increases every month. Craft a messaging campaign that converts discussions into appointments, the M sequence that we went over before in step number 7, and to build out and launch a group, a LinkedIn group, to attract your ideal prospects. This is like Rob's LinkedIn group on the testimonial right before this. Gather high quality content to post that is relevant to your prospects. And this is the content curation that we talked about in step number 3. And then ongoing monthly, all these bullet points are what the RevGrow team, the account manager as they're called, does in the background. High value messaging campaign that converts discussions into appointments. The same thing is weeks 3 through 4. LinkedIn group moderation from the group that was built. Ongoing prospecting, so your pipeline remains full. 10 plus curated high quality content updates per month. So 2 to 3 content posts per week on your profile to show you as the expert and the thought leader in your niche. Integrated content and email campaigns. This is messaging and email. Blog and content marketing to help you gain more exposure, credibility, visibility in your market space, as well as drives prospects to your profile and website. Message LinkedIn inbox. Forwarding messages and leads of importance. Filter out which ones are just replies or, please don't message me anymore, or, oh, hi, how you doing? Here's a picture of my cat. Filter those things out so you only get the messages that are of relevance and people looking to engage you. Engagement actions, endorsements, likes, and shares, so you remain top of mind. This is for like when people have anniversaries, birthdays, new jobs, things like that. Proprietary tracking system with 24/7 visibility that you can go in and see where your campaign is at any point in time. The dedicated account manager, this is what I was talking about, that partners with the salesperson to work your account and is dedicated to your account monthly. I mean, every month, not 24/7. I was going to say 24/7, but they are your dedicated account manager and work to make sure that your campaign runs smoothly and continuously. Sales training, call checklist, sales meeting playbook, and more to help you win more business. So if you're not comfortable with the sales calls, we have sales training. If you're not comfortable with what to say and how to go about keeping the call on focus, controlling the call, we have call checklists, sales meeting playbooks, how to walk through a call, and much, much more. Top of mind nurturing, so you get the call when the prospects are ready. We have a nurturing campaign that continually stays in front of the prospect in a respectful way so that they remember that you were there. And here's what a few clients have to say. We're getting a little long on time, so I'm going to leave this here for just a minute, and then you can read this at your convenience. That's just call me and let's talk about it. I'll stop right here and let you stay here. Give me a call or let me know if anybody is interested. I'd be happy to talk to them. There's never any obligation on this. It is something that I have found works exceptionally well. It does work for CPA firms. We do have CPA clients with RevGrow amongst the other 50 or so clients that we have. RevGrow is a growing firm. Our goal this year is to actually increase quite substantially in our client base and providing even more value services like postings, content creation, content curation than we have in the past. So we're looking to grow client-wise and also value that we provide to those clients-wise. So now is a great time. If you are interested in just talking about it and seeing what you can do with RevGrow, please let me know. If that's a little more than you want to take on right now and you just want to look at maybe possibly doing it yourself, we do have startup programs where we can basically start your account, get your profile optimized, get your messaging sequence set up, and then train you and turn it over to you. so you can do it yourself or take it in-house if you have somebody that you want to have do it in-house. So, and you know, we can work with you depending on what you're looking to do to craft something a little more custom if you're interested in that. So that is all I have. If anyone else has any questions, please let me know. There's another phone number you can reach me at, but you can always use the schedule a call with Tad link and just pick a time on my calendar, and happy to talk to you. If anyone has anything, please let me know now. I'll give it a few seconds here on the chat. Okay, don't see anything. And I apologize for going a little over today. Do want to be respectful of everyone's time. So I'm going to end it here. In about 5-10 minutes, the Take Exam link will be available in your on your My Courses page, and you can take the one question exam, just attesting that you attended the webinar, and get your certificate of completion. If you have any questions later about how to get your certificate or anything that was on the webinar, or me, or RevGrow, or CPE Think for that matter, there's always the maroon chat bubble in the lower right of any page, or on any page on our site. Just feel free to open up a conversation there, and we will get right back to you. Thank you everyone for your time. Really appreciate that. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend coming up, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.